morning, we aspire to identify the challenges and needs of the partners' SMEs that we have already done, to identify best practices in EU level, to organize workshops like the current event with stakeholders, to provide advisory services, to develop and offer training programs and courses that already we have done, and to develop a toolkit for the trainers, also we have done it, and finally to disseminate our activities and to promote networking. So, in the framework of this project, we organized the today event, the Building Business and Marketing Strategies event for sustainable fashion brands. In this meeting, we will try to discuss and to respond to some crucial questions about how do marketing strategies for sustainable fashion brands work in Europe, not only in Greece. For this reason, the event is international. How can we promote a sustainable fashion brand? What is a sustainable branding strategy? What kind of ethical commitments does this entails? This is some of the main crucial questions for discussion and brainstorming and consultation during our event. So, the overall goal of this event is to disseminate and exchange knowledge and experience on fashion business and marketing strategies with the contribution of all of you. For this reason, I thank you for your participation, and I hope that this meeting will be very productive and very fruitful in order to exclude the proper and correct conclusions for this sector, the fashion sector and its sustainability. So, thank you very much from our side, from the side of Athens Chamber for Small Enterprise Industries Chamber. Mrs. Manesi, you can continue the coordination of the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Skimadis. I hope everyone, there was a little bit of noise, background noise while you were talking, so I hope everyone was able to listen a little bit about EcoFashionEU and the program. Can you hear me well? Like, is my voice clear? Great. So we would like to thank you for joining us at the 4th community building event called Building Business and Marketing Strategies for Sustainable Fashion Brands, including ethical fashion advocacy. This is the 4th community building event of the program EcoFashionEU. Before presenting our program, I would like to start by setting the tone with some general information on sustainable business models and marketing, which might be known to our participants and attendees, but it is always important to refer to the kind of business models and marketing strategies we wish to see in the future live, prosper, and spread into the mainstream fast fashion market. So I'll start with the gloomy news. The 24th April 2013 was considered as one of the most tragic days in the history of the fashion industry. More than 1,130 people died and more than 2,500 were badly injured in the collapse of Rana Plaza in Bangladesh. One day earlier, the factory with 2 illegal floors had been evacuated due to static equilibrium issues. On the day of the tragedy, the staff was forced to resume their work duties under the threat of losing their monthly wages. This day has been considered a breakthrough in the whole perception of the fashion industry all over the world, from the ethical, transparent, as well as sustainable point of view. Nowadays, the fashion industry is standing on the crossroads. The production machines and equipment are turning at a high pace, and any corresponding impact and pollution generated by cheap, fast, and unsustainable fashion are turning into a global scale problem. Textile production is responsible for greenhouse emissions that are far bigger than worldwide transport resources. Toxic substances are discharged into the environment while polluting the nature or deteriorating health for not only producers but also consumers. Fashion industry does not respect any limits of our planet as it primarily focuses on solving short-term economic problems. In light of the aforementioned, more and more movements, organizations, ethical or sustainable brands are being launched. The rise of slow fashion narratives, though, has encouraged us to pose and ask, what if another kind of fashion system is possible? We begin to realize that if this fashion system premised on growth was created, then we can also unmake and remake the system into one that prioritizes the well-being of the planet and people. At the core of changing the fashion system, we need to rethink the way we operate and reimagine the types of business models that are regarded as aspirational. The kind of sustainable business models we aspire consist of business strategies and structures that acknowledge the value of fashion as a medium for expression, storytelling, and creativity, while also understanding that this value shouldn't create harm. A key sustainable concept discussed throughout EcoFashionEU is circular economy, which, in contrast to traditional recycling, focuses on businesses that place emphasis on reuse of products, components, materials, or recycling, repairing, renovation, modernization, as well as on solar and wind energy or biomass waste management. The main objective of the circular economy is to develop a more sustainable system with a closed circuit, with the purpose of extending the period of use of garments. In addition, all materials should be recyclable in various rounds. Overall, sustainable fashion business models offer alternative blueprints for a fashion system by creating new metrics for success and prosperity. But what does this actually look like in practice? This is something we will try to explore today. In addition, an aspect I personally would call both attendees and participants to reflect upon is the existence of cultural differences in the definition of sustainability, which is susceptible to the interpretations of each country's socioeconomic history and structural position in global capitalism. Namely, Balkan countries, countries of the global south, have a very different history, colonial may I say, and positionality in the global capitalist world. In this context, perhaps it's the time to introduce a post-colonial approach to sustainability and challenge its unitary, uniform underpinnings. Regarding the marketing strategies of sustainable fashion brands, we should underline that the communication aspect itself has become an inseparable part of sustainability and fashion industry awareness. Marketing communication of sustainable brands and fashion businesses is the main precondition and tool promoting the change of thinking and modifying individuals' buying behavior. The modern digital era is powerful enough to channel communication towards individuals and consumers through various platforms, mass media, social media, websites, blogs, or applications. Which of these platforms is more effective? How to properly communicate sustainability in fashion? Can the properly developed marketing communication really lead to switch consumer behavior to the environmental one? Are there cultural differences on how sustainability and fashion and sustainable fashion is understood? At the same time, in order to promote sustainable clothes or brands, businesses use a number of equivalent denominations such as ecological, green, organic, sustainable, natural, etc. These equivalents can be found in their logos, products, labels, or various forms of advertising, or in company websites, often creating confusion and distrust to consumers and opening the door to greenwashing practices. These are some of the topics we will touch upon today regarding communication and marketing strategies in sustainable fashion. So again, I would like to thank you for accepting our invitation and joining us today, everyone, and people abroad, and people based in Greece, and hopefully we will have time for a fruitful discussion in the end. So I would like to start our round discussion in this, it's a small digital roundtable by giving the floor to Marilena Stathopoulou, a marketing specialist and fashion designer, who is going to discuss. She also teaches at Romina Karamanea School, a fashion school, and she will discuss the specific aspects of sustainable business brands, from branding, pricing, portfolios, etc. Marilena, the floor is yours, and I'll give you a heads up when you're close to 10 minutes or 10 minutes over.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation. It's amazing to see these initiatives for this cause, because indeed, I was, for example, I was always in love with fashion, but applying it with sustainable methods opened the space for my passion forever to join the industry. I would like to share with you, actually I have a presentation, so let me share the screen. Wait.
You are presenter, Marilena, so you should be able to share your screen. If you're not, I'll have to make you co-host.
Okay. Perfect. Give me. I think I have it. So let me know if the presentation. Is it visible to you?
Not yet.
Okay, I'll do another try.
It's the share button. Okay.
Is it on? I have, but for some reason.
You are co-host and presenter, so you should be able to do it.
Maybe I'll try another. Sorry for the time. I will try sharing the whole screen, so I will start with this. Can you see my screen?
No, not yet.
Also, I'm not familiar with this platform, but I'm following the steps that I know that are applicable to all platforms.
If there is a problem, I can do the present. I can share your.
Okay. I know what the problem is. Haven't used. Yes. Would it be possible to share the presentation? I'm sorry for this.
Give me a second.
I'm so sorry for this. There is no permission to do so. But I will tell you I will introduce for a start myself. As Diana mentioned, I've been working as a marketing strategy and consumer behavior analyst for 10 years. And then I joined fashion industry with studies in fashion design and sustainability in fashion. I am in the field through education and seminars and movements that I have attended the last 8 years. And also now I am working in the field of human rights and diversity and inclusion, which I consider also a part of sustainable living. And I would like to share with you today an approach regarding marketing strategies, but from the commercial part that I find important for small brands to apply, because these strategies, as Diana mentioned, regarding the product development and the portfolio and pricing management, might be considered for big organizations. However, what I have found out is that this is where profitability can be generated in even smaller groups. And I find it important, no matter what the scale for a brand, to focus on these areas and build on the financial sustainability, which is also important. Thank you very much. Diana. So we can start with page 3. What is happening in fashion industry today is it is an industry that undergoes huge changes because of the climate change pressure and the negative impact that the industry has. We have more conscious consumers. We have consumers that searching for authentic influencers and authentic brands. We have consumers that need for purpose-led brands. We have a huge rise of greenwashing, and unfortunately, this is not coming only from the obvious big fast fashion brands, but the greenwashing comes. We have situations that greenwashing happens to also brands that communicate themselves as sustainable. So this has built a kind of like a negative impact on the real sustainable brands. We have new technologies that can that arise, and we have very active generations that are active as consumers, but as followers and as a community that is connected to brands. And we have new fast fashion international business that are growing rapidly, that implementing a culture of overconsumption and fast consumption. Moving forward, and some data that I want to share with you, the clothing and footwear consumption is expected to increase by over 16% up to 2030, which is a huge number considered the big increases that we had the last decade. But on the other side, we have globally directions dealing with overconsumption. We have the new laws in the European Union regarding the strategy for sustainable and circular textiles that was launched on June 2023, and we have 16 laws that are expected to be in place in 2024 and 2025. So this builds the ground to talk about sustainability and embed it in the industry at the European level and at the global level. There is a growth of ethical fashion market that is expected to reach 16.8 million up to 2030. And also the sustainable clothing share is expected to grow from almost 4% that is today to 6.8%. Okay, the numbers, you see, it's considered to be low. However, it is a growth and we need to build on this. So there is the space has been set up. There are a lot of initiatives, but moving forward, all of us here today that are in the field of fashion and sustainability, we have chosen the difficult path, the difficult way to deal that requires a lot of effort and investment. And we have to deal with main challenges, especially when we are a Greek sustainable brand activating locally, but also want to expand at international level. There are specific challenges that we face, is the limited resources, financial and in terms of material, the high production costs, and also the limited offers of ethical production ways and factories. The limitation in the distribution channels due to the mass fashion and due to the high costs. We have limited consumer education, though it is growing. So we have a share, and we need to build on this. That's why the storytelling that we are about to develop conversations today is very important. We have a challenge in investing in brand awareness and brand recognition, not only financial challenges, but also the reluctancy and the limited awareness of people around fashion, the harmful factors of the environment. And also there is a challenge when we are scaling up in production, how to maintain the ethical practices. So, like very fast, I will remind and share again some strategies for sustainability is how to develop sustainable products and services from materials to production, to be transparent and apply ethical information regarding sourcing and production, apply ethical values in all the process, the whole supply chain and the whole process of our sustainable brand. And this is very important because the consumers are aware, they have access to information. So sometimes they can be informed of what is happening. Applying circular economy models. So having the idea that the products that we deliver, the products that we offer, the connection with the consumer does not stop when we sell the product, but we need to be aware of how we can offer solutions in order to prevent the waste of our products, in order to create long-lasting products. And this can also be translated in additional services and revenues and profit, of course, for the brand. And I have an example of a Swedish brand on this. Be authentic and build on credibility, and that can be achieved through the collaborations, through the word of mouth, through being honest about the process that we create, and develop the community engagement that includes consumer education on sustainability and on ethical fashion and ethical products and also services, and create a very strong brand messaging and the storytelling that is very, very important, especially linked to the way that consumers are connecting to the brands, which is emotionally up to now. We have left there that it was brand products. Now it's emotions. It's following a cause. It's being part of a broader community and a broader impact to the society. So today I will be focused in the commercial aspects of product price and branding, because as I mentioned, building a sustainable brand, it's not only a part of environment and human, but it's also building a brand that is financially sustainable and can exist in the future as well. So starting with the product, sustainability in production designs is very important, because at this part is from concept idea to developing the prototypes and the products is a huge distance, because this is in the design area. This is where we took the decisions of how to apply sustainable methods, but also how to apply methods that our products can be cost efficient and profitable for the business as well. Also, this is an element that is included in this part, is how to deal with limited or zero waste management. And the application of new technologies and innovation and AI methods is very important at this stage, because we can actually move faster in the first steps of creating the prototypes. A very important element of the product that it's also high in waste is the packaging, that includes labels, wraps, sending the products to our consumers. So being a sustainable brand, it's a huge challenge, where to find sustainable material, where to find a cost-efficient material, and all, because we cannot be a sustainable brand by offering solution packaging that creates a lot of waste. We can, but we want to change this situation. At this part, being in Greece, of course, it's not like very easy to access sustainable solutions and affordable in terms of the brand, of the product pricing. But the idea here is apply, first of all, creativity. Being a smaller brand and a designer offers the freedom of flexibility of providing like new ideas, thinking out of the box, of applying like new things that people may not have been, consumers may not be used to. But that's the good thing of being a small brand and a new designer, and also collab with other local designers in order to reach retailers from all over Europe or the world, in order to reach the scale of the minimum run, of the minimum orders, and have other solutions that might not be accessible by reaching these suppliers as one brand. So collaboration, and that the good thing with Greek community is that there are collaborations that are set up among sustainable brands, among new designers. Then another idea is creating limited collections and having a small main range of designs in order to create more cost-efficient collections. One brand that is a well sustainable story of a brand is the All Birds. Is a footwear collection brand with main designs, limited designs, has a great sustainability story using natural wool and also certified in terms of the production method. So All Birds is a global brand right now that is built on the storytelling of how to apply small collections, minimal collection, minimal designs, minimal aesthetics as well, and also doing big collaborations with big brands in order to raise awareness. Moving forward with the product is how to manage our product, how to manage our portfolio, and understand where our products are positioned, in which segment, what are the other brands that are activating in this product segment. We can move forward with the slide. Yes. And first of all, understand where we are positioning, where our brand is positioning, at which price level, at which market segments.
Sorry for
yes.
interrupting you, but try a little bit to speed up.
Yes.
So yeah, thank you.
Oh, okay. So move forward with the product mix. Another slide. The other slide. Yes, it's about product mix and portfolio management. The product mix is to a very important strategy is to analyze our product portfolios. And what does this mean? Analyze each one of the products that we have. What is the role in the brand goal? So first of all, set up our goals, what we want to achieve, revenue, profit, awareness, reputation, maybe all of it, and then analyze our product mix. And instead of setting profitability targets and strategies at the whole portfolio, I would recommend to build on specific categories and subcategories of our brands, of our product portfolio. Understand what categories are complementary and can build on revenues and profit. What categories? What is the main category? What are the products that act as traffic builders? What are the products that act as accessible products to the brand? Evaluate the complexity of our production and design versus of what is the value gained, not only in money, but also in brand awareness as well. And have some tough decisions sometime. Maybe some designs that we love don't need to be kept in our portfolio. And also understand what are the customers that we serve what the customer needs that we serve, compared to the portfolio that we have, compared to the products. Aloha's brand is a nice example of having simple lines, having repetitive brands across collections, and seasonality in collections is a big issue for the industry. We see right now that having like 1 million seasons and collection a year does not work. So in terms of financials. So having limited collection, repetitive designs can free you up some resources and profitability. Talking about price, I'll be very fast on this. That's also yes, is how we do our cost evaluation methodology. Because what I've seen with brands is that there is a big part of marketing and personal effort that is kept outside from the cost evaluation. I would recommend to include this as well. Do an analysis of the price positioning, where our brand is placed in terms of price, and also analyze the price range. There is a limit, there is a threshold in prices that we see, for example, from prices to 100 euros up to 150 euros, there might not be any change in consumer decision for a purchase. And that, for example, give us the space to play with the price range and have some pure profit. This is a technique that we call it price partitions analysis, and we apply it in all products. So it's important to, when we take the decision of the price of our product, to take into consideration, first of all, the cost, secondly, the price position, but also, is there a price range that I can play within these limits and gain some profit? The answer most of the time is yes. And also, do not apply the same price strategy for all products. We need to understand our portfolio mix, and we need to have a specific price strategy for for different categories. Can we move forward? So there is a pricing strategy regarding the premium, some products that are overpriced, the penetration pricing, the strategy that we choose some products to have a specific price and profitability in order to enter our brand. We can take the decision of having some pricings regarding the market changes. We can have a decision of some products have dynamic pricing. So this applies mostly in accessory categories. We also can have promotional pricing. So from the beginning, having our minds that some categories are the ones that are about to be promoted more. So we can build up a price for these brands, having in mind that this will be offered in the future in lower prices. So the whole idea for product and price is recommendation is do not treat the whole portfolio the same. Each specific categories can build the traffic, other can build profitability, and this can create, and this will create the financial sustainability of your brands. So the last part is the branding that a lot of people here will talk about, is how to share the brand values and create a concrete and entertaining and authentic storytelling. I won't say more on this. I think we can close this part of commercial marketing. The brand that I wanted to talk about is the Swedish brand. It's called Nudie Jeans, and the element that has brought up is the mending part, how you can renew your jeans and make a new product with the old parts. So it's a good and worth to have a look at it. Thank you very much. That was it from my part.
Thank you very much, Marilena, and sorry for pressuring you with the time. I have this ugly role of coordinating and trying to keep everything on track. Without any further ado, I will give the floor to Stefan Klabaneva, who is the founder and Circular Innovation Officer of ID8TRS. and he will talk about business circular models and circular economy. So Stefan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Diana. Appreciate it. And hello,
I'll
everyone.
make you co-host and presenter, so hopefully it will work with you. Yes, great. We can all see your presentation. Stefan, can you hear me? The presentation was on, but then you switched it off.
Oh, it did work. Okay.
Yeah, it worked. It worked.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Let's try this again.
Yeah, try the same again.
Let me know if you can see the screen.
Yes, we can see the screen.
Perfect.
Great.
Okay, let's take it away then. So, so happy to be here with everyone today, and thank you for the invitation, Diana. And you know, this is a really important topic. I've been speaking about this for many, many years. So, again, as a little brief introduction, I'll tell you who I am. My name is Stefan Klein-Beneva. I consider myself sort of a hybrid designer, because I sort of sit on both sides of the space, both on the creation side and the sustainability side, the fashion side and the sort of business side. So always looking at things from both perspectives, thinking of the triple bottom line, which is the most important thing, which is people, planet, and profit, right? So we can no longer, as my previous esteemed speaker said, we can no longer be making things at the expense of other humans, and as you said, Diana, in your introduction, or the planet, right? So that's what I'm here to talk about. My background, I was born in San Francisco. I grew up in Greece, studied in the UK, worked in France, and you know, I was the last 20 years I was in New York City. So that's kind of where I've been. From when it comes from a sustainability perspective and the types of things that I talk about and the projects that I've done, you can see a small example of the things that I've done and spoken about and that relate to sustainability. And I'm going to try and summarize in 10 to 15 minutes today some of the things that I think are relevant for our conversation today, right? I do sustainability. I've always been a consultant on innovation and design. I've been doing that for over 20 years now. But wherever possible, even subliminally, I try to pass on that message of sustainability, even in non-exclusive sustainability projects, right? So with that, I'm going to kick things off. So this is not a great picture, right? So I want to get some interaction from our participants here. Maybe you can do this on the screen, you know, use the little hands up button to tell me if you guys are making stuff. Anybody that makes stuff is making an impact on what we see on the screen, right? So that's the reality. The thing that we want to do is we try to minimize this. So how do we go away from this picture? How do we improve the reality of the things that we're dealing with, whether it's waste streams, whether it's just throwing it in the garbage? I mean, the reality is a lot of the organizations might want to do good, but it's not always easy, right? So that's the difficult thing that we have to sort of try and thread in terms of the needle today. So that's the reality of what we're dealing with. You know, I think we need a holistic, balanced approach to sort of addressing this triple bottom line of people, planet, and profit. We need to be able to be sustainable, and that means the business has to be sustainable. So you have to be able to make a profit, but you can no longer do it at the expense of humans, other humans, and the planet. That's the reality, right? So when I look at this, how do we do this? I apply these three sort of areas. I focus on sustainable strategy, I focus on sustainable processes, and then I give real case examples of how some companies have done that in a great way, right? So we have to be thinking along these three axes in a sense, right? That's kind of how I believe that. So from a strategy perspective, it means defining you know, sustainable circular design principles, zero waste. We have to be thinking about how we're going to report this, because what you cannot measure, you cannot value, right? So we have to be doing a better job, and that's it's gonna be a reality whether we like it or not, because of the EU initiatives and directives that are coming down the pipe, right? Developing regenerative business models, even beyond circular business models, is the ultimate goal for us. That's what we should be thinking about. From a process perspective, again, there's different types of toolkits that we can be using. I'll be mentioning some of these very quickly today in my introduction and my brief summary today. But we need to be thinking about eco-design, materiality studies, even environmental conscious manufacturing processes, guides, and new technologies that allow to sort of take on these difficult challenges of becoming net zero or net positive, right? And finally, the best way to learn is by examples, right? So I want to share some examples of brands, companies that are making a conscious change in the way that they do business to make this change, right? So I'm going to dive right in. So talking about the sustainable strategy, again, we can't cover all this in 10, 15 minutes today, but what I'm going to tell you start with the EU Sustainable Development Goals. There's 17 goals out there. Again, hands up if everybody's heard of these. If not, I certainly would first suggest that you check out and figure out which ones align with your personal beliefs. Who are you? What are your beliefs? What are your priorities, right? Then think of because we're talking about EU and we're talking about Greece, look at what the European Green Deal is talking about. So in the words of Madame President of EU Commission van der Leyen, we're talking about the new Bauhaus, right? So again, there's a design philosophy behind that. She said in her letter, her open letter, which if you haven't read, you should again check out and read, that the EU will launch a new European Bauhaus movement, a collaborative design and creative space where architects, artists, students, scientists, engineers, and designers will work on solving these problems for sustainability, right? So that's another example. Another example that we could be leveraging today as small businesses is to become a B Corp. So in Greece, there are not an awful lot of them. One example of a Greek B Corp is Apivita. So it's not in fashion, but it's cosmetics, right? But it's certainly something that we should be thinking about. And there's some great examples like Eileen Fisher, a fashion brand that have been going down this route of becoming very and truly sustainable, right? There's plenty of other examples. Like the example here is you can see the sustainable design strategies that one of my dear friends, Leila Groglu, has developed throughout the years. I wish we could dive into these. We just don't have time today. But there's a lot of stuff that you can be leveraging. I'm going to go and talk a little bit more in detail about one specific thing because we touched about it today, on it a little earlier, and that is the circular business models, because we're talking about business here. What is that you can fundamentally do today to start change and become more sustainable? So the reality is you can start anywhere on the circle, okay? So the previous speaker spoke about packaging. I would talk about, and we talked a little bit about repairability, right? So I think that it's funny because what was old is now new again. Even though in Greece, going to the local shoe repairman is very common, if you go outside of that, it's sort of lost its thing in many places, right? But I think we're coming back to the realization that if you buy a great product, it should last a long time, right? So I'll be the first one to tell you that I have a pair of Gucci sandals, right? I bought them in 2001. So I've had them for like 23 years. They still look amazing. Yes, I've repaired them a couple times. I've resold them a couple times, but they are high quality leather. They've created that amazing patina, and it's a great luxury product that, yes, I wouldn't suggest that everybody can afford to spend $100 on a pair of sandals, right? But it's something that it will hopefully last for another decade or so at least, right? So there's there's many of examples here. We talked about repair services in jeans, which exist in certain parts of the country. And we certainly have examples of brands that are providing that service, right? There's take-back programs, repairability at Patagonia, right? That was also an example that was brought up again. It's a new business model for reselling secondhand, collections in the stores. And if you go to a Patagonia store, you will see that it's on the shelf. Okay, so it's an amazing example of, it's not going to be something that they're going to make a ton of money on, but it allows people that may not have the price capability to buy a brand new product can really be introduced to the brand in a new and exciting way by getting a let's say certified pre-owned, which is the terminology that car manufacturers typically use, but in fashion, right? So the other thing is design. We talked about design for longevity, reducing and reusing materials, right? So the reality with recyclability is more often, especially in fashion, is we blend things together, right? So if we have a cotton viscose blend, how are we going to be able to recycle that, right? If we can leverage monomaterials, then we have a better chance of a second life, right? If we shred it up completely and create a new yarn from it, that's fine, okay? But that's a little bit more energy intensive, right? So the other thing I wanted to talk about is even the logistics and the packaging side of things, which is not necessarily related to the design of the product itself or the collection, right? But how do we use that? I mean, when we ship things to our stores or around the world, we put them in boxes, we put them in single-use plastic, right? What can we do to reduce that, right? So that's an example of the strategies. I wish I could spend more time, but we really don't have. So I'm going to kind of keep moving forward to give you a little bit of examples of sustainable processes. So things that you can download. There's a ton of free tools that you have access to for free. Just go and find them out. For example, the Helen MacArthur Foundation is developing and allows you to download the circular design print guide for free. Okay. Now, to help you adopt it, that's another story. That's why you can use people like myself to help you out in your day-to-day specifics as to how you can apply those for your business, right? Again, we talked about localized materials. My friend that asked me to participate in this, her company called Musa Collection, she uses 90% of local materials, fabrics sourced in Greece, right? So that's a great example of what we can do here, right? And my friend Andrew Dent that works at Material Connection, a material consulting company, says there's no such thing as a sustainable material. He's kind of tongue-in-cheek here because he's saying, well, and it all depends on how you use that material, right? So if you could be using the most sustainable material, but if you throw it out after one use, then it's not sustainable, right? So then lastly, there's tools like life cycle assessment tools that allow you, in short, LCA tools that allow you to kind of get a sense of what the actual impact of your product, your collection, your fashion brand will have on next year's resources, right? So that's the thing that you need to be thinking about. There's tons of different types of tools. The reality is you can be green and be in the black, or in other words, you can be making green by being green, right? There's definitely ways to do this, and you just need to make sure that you take the time to sort of understand how that can be done, right? Okay, so keep moving forward. An example of sustainable product experiences, or what are the kinds of specific brands that are doing this in a good way. We already mentioned Patagonia. There's many other brands out there that are really trying to make that impact. And what we're showing here are some examples that exist. So one other Greek brand is 3/4 Design. So they use the tents and the awnings from that would be thrown away to create brands. So they have lines of bags and things like that, right? So that's one example. Deso, which you see in the center of your screen, is a company that actually provides no longer products, but they turned it into a service. So instead of making, this is another example, instead of making something that you buy off the shelf, it's like a service of items that you can wear. And whenever you don't need them anymore, you give them back to them. So the reality is that the business model is that they never take it out of their profit and loss problem. It's always part of their company, right? Whether you're using it at that point in time or not. And last but not least, a real example of what Puma is doing is leveraging designers such as Bahar here to not design shoes, but the packaging that those shoes went into. So if you haven't seen this example, there's a video that you can do a search for called Clever Little Bag. So if you type in Puma Clever Little Bag, you'll see the design project that a very well-known industrial designer, Bahar, solved this problem, which is, do you need all this cardboard for a shoe that you're going to wear? You're going to take it out and throw it the minute you get home, right? So that had an impact on logistics, had an impact on weight and material, right? So those are three simple examples. Again, we don't have much time, but I wanted to kind of wrap up very quickly. So the reality is, take those three sort of axes, apply them to your company, and I'm sure that you can transform yourself and your business to becoming more circular and more sustainable. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Stefan, for this wonderful presentation. It was very analytical and very informative, and I love the examples. I love the example of Deso. I didn't know about it. Let's move forward to Rachel Sela. She's the award-winning founder of the ecosystem incubator Circular Earth and Real Circularity. And she's going to be presenting us some successful cases of circular earth work with sustainable fashion brands. And Rachel, thanks very much for accepting this invitation, and hopefully the brands that are listening to us and all the participants will find things in your presentation that they can relate or they can readjust. Yeah,
100%. We're all about real application of this, what you can actually start to have action on. I know some of these people here say, hi Tenna, how are you? Whoa, really great. And great to see everyone here. I'm going to share my screen. Hope that works.
Yes, you are co-host and presenter, so hopefully it will work.
It's sort of asking me for some settings. Hang on.
Oh,
Second. Yes. I think I've done that. Oh, it's asking for a password. It just wanted to make sure that I was acknowledging that I would share my screen. There we go. Let's see if that works.
We can't see your screen. Oh, yeah, there it is.
Yeah, you can see it now.
Yes,
Fabulous.
yes, great.
Okay, excellent. So good to see everyone today. I'm Rachel Sheila Cannon. I'm something called an ecosystem architect. That'll become apparent throughout the conversation what that is. I'm a consultant in sustainability and particularly circularity. I am a TEDx speaker. I'm a speaker on B2B stages around the work of circularity, or our real work in real circularity. One massive thing is that I'm a huge collaborator, and that's a massive strain that works throughout my business, whether I'm in the consultancy part or whether I'm in our collaborative. I'm an educator and lecturer, so I lecture pre-masters students on sustainability and ethics in business. My past life, I was a designer and design manager, and I still tinkle around with that sometimes if we're looking at particular circular designs and functions. I used to run events when I first started sustainability. Event project management was also ran through my my previous history as well. I can generally wield a camera also and do photo shoots as well. So I am pretty dynamic. I'm also a regenerative practitioner, and that means not only I'm just looking at regenerative ways of growing things and regenerative agriculture and things like that, but I'm looking at regenerative business models, how we can create continuous win-wins as if the way that nature does, right? And that'll be apparent what that is later on. I'm very hands-on. I like to actually do the work and show this is what we're doing and take action on it, right? Whatever is happening, I want to create pragmatic change in the system. Oops. So firstly, yeah, my companies are called, and my overarching company is called Circular Earth. We have something also called the Ecosystem Incubator, which I'll share about later on. And one of our biggest systems is in education and coaching and consultancy in our real circularity work. I speak on B2B stages. We won a Draper's Fashion Award for the Ecosystem Incubator a few years ago. And here's me with the amazing Safia Mini. If anyone doesn't know who she is, she's been in sustainability for a very long time and was one of the first people to start up in organics about 20 odd years ago. So great to meet your heroes, I think. My main associate is a guy called Ken Alston, and he worked on the original Cradle to Cradle work with William Madonna and Michael Brunkart. Actually, the way that I met Ken was through the incubator that we created. He was our first member because he saw the absolute joy of coming together with other people and creating something bigger than oneself in coming together in collaboration. Yeah, he's an all-round legend. And what we've done is come together to co-create our system called Real Circularity. We've created an academy. We have a summit coming up on June the 21st, which is completely virtual. We co-wrote a book as well of the same name, which is a real easy to digest book, very simple for CEOs to just pick this up, take 2 or 3 hours and get what's going on, right? Because everyone is so busy at the moment. Yeah, and a lot of our work was originally looking at how everything was siloed, how everything is in different departments or in different arenas or different disciplines, and they weren't necessarily talking to each other. And if we want to look at things in a more regenerative way, we have to look at the whole system. And this runs, and the reason I'm showing you this is it runs throughout, whether it's our real circularity work, whether it's our ecosystem work, whether it's some of the brands that we've co-created that I'm going to show you later. This whole systems perspective runs right through it, interlocking both inner industry or our industry and into industry at the same time. Our work doesn't look at just the product. We obviously look at everything else that's around that product. So sometimes circularity can focus too much on the product and the materials, and you can have a fully circular product and it still be not sustainable, not thinking about the energy that's being utilized, not thinking about the water or the social aspect. One of the massive things which the last speaker, Stefan, touched upon was locality, right? As well, not many people thinking about that locality, the sense of place that it's coming from, and also the supply chains from each of those spaces. We very much stand for looking at decentralization, at relocalization, either hybrid or coming together into a future of a decentralized way of creating. We're generally working in this sort of building this muscle of becoming both a generalist and zooming out to the whole picture in this whole systems perspective, and a specialist at the same time, and zooming right into, say, your button or your fiber or into the dye batch that you're using, where that's from, etc., etc. So we, in our education, in the way that we consult with people, we help them to generate this muscle. Many sustainability concepts, and I will say most of them are concepts, are very simplistic. We often see nice little Venn diagrams saying people, planet, profit, etc., right? Or ecology, equity, and economy with sustainability magically in the middle. The real deal is that this big boy of finance and economics is a way bigger bubble than everything else. So we deal with that face on. Okay, how can we work with that? How can we actually create new systems that move into a new economic ideal? Sorry, it's doing something weird. So there are risks from working in a business as usual and trying to shoehorn circularity and shoehorn the regenerative ways into our economic system, right? At the moment, it's kind of layering upon it. And that's what I saw when I first started to work in this space. We were trying to put sticking plasters over a system that doesn't particularly work for circularity and certainly doesn't work into the regenerative work that we were looking at creating. So we said, what happens when we put things together? And this is a gorgeous quote, true innovation occurs when things are put together for the first time that had been separate. And that's how we created the ecosystem incubator. What if no business was an island on its own? What if it was like a forest? What if businesses could come together, co-create and collaborate to create continual win-wins for them and the other people that are in that system, that holistic living system? So I went about creating it, and we created the ecosystem building into each of the different disciplines, bringing in autonomous brands, autonomous consultants, designers, garment techs, people who are growing stuff from, creating new supply chains, right? If things that were very difficult, because I'd seen over the years, micro businesses, micro brands, people who wanted to have the impact were very small and they were all trying to wave their little flags, right? And I thought, well, why don't we come together and start waving those little flags together, creating a larger flag, right? So that could be co-creating brands. It could be collaboratively marketing together. It could be sharing trade show booths, things like that. How many acupuncture points could we co-create together to create that people see us more? And we've started only creating these small seeds, and we're creating it on the B2B side to start with. But eventually we saw that, citizens can be involved with this. They are the sun to this forest, right? And we needed tech to be able for that to work. So, so it becomes a living system. And it's moving away from the old business as usual or hierarchical organizations into this living, breathing system that moves and adjusts and is dynamic, because then it can move, it can create new innovation, right? And actually, this is not me being wild and fanciful. There are companies that have done this in very many different guises, and we're not saying that there's ultimate structure that is like the way forward for the future. Actually, there's infinite amounts of structures that we can create together, right? But one example is a company called Butzog, who created much more of a bottom-up way of building their business. They already had a business, and they have care teams that look after particular people who in need of care. And they said, instead of top down saying, okay, you're gonna need this, that, we're gonna buy up all of these things that you need, they actually said to their teams, let's self-organize. You guys know the people that you're looking after more intrinsically than the top guy does or top woman does, right? Okay. So they co-created what they needed for each of the sense of place, each of the places that each of the people that they were looking after. They actually reduced costs. They increased employee happiness. They increased the happiness of the people who were being cared for, and they made more money. So actually these kind of new systems and structures are proving to be more resilient than some of our old structures and systems that have trouble, you know, moving into our spaces because they are so large, right? We've seen some of the larger companies really having an issue trying to create sustainable futures. So what does a transition to a collaborative, ecosystemic way of being, living and working look like? We like to call it procession. In our real circularity work, we call this processional thinking. So like you've got to imagine your business as like a bee. Your bee's purpose is to go out, collect nectar and create that honey. But that bee has a processional effect, which is pollination. So in being your business, you can go out and find new ways of creating multiple processional effects. Conventional goals are really looking to avoid, minimize, just go to zero. Did you get up this morning and say, hey, I want to go to zero this morning? You didn't. You want to have a beneficial day. So in all of our work, we're looking at this part of the graph because we figured out that the graph was actually all wrong, that we were at a moment addressing really the lower part of this graph where we're trying to reduce problems, trying to be non-beneficial. But actually what we need to look at in whether we're creating a product, we're creating a business, we're creating a community, that we're looking at the continual benefits that we can create. So reduce non-beneficial and increase beneficial impacts with circular, sustainably circular business models. An example of this is our company that we co-created inside the incubator called Sanja Stories. And this is a collaboration between our collaborators from the incubator. Kishore and Joe, who worked on QUGiUkD London, they work with regenerative cotton growers in India, very small farm holdings that are fully regenerative. They hand weave the items, so it's a very craft-led item that they create in terms of the fabrication. And Claudia, who's a garment tech, came into this, and Abhishek, who's creating the CMT, as well as myself, right? And actually now we've started to attract more people to our collaborative. So someone came along and said, oh, hey, can I come and do your marketing for you and become part of the team, right? We give our sweat into this, right? It's called sweat equity. If you're familiar with the cooperative movement, sweat equity is very normal, right? And so we place all of that into it, create something. And what we did was created a one product brand, right? So, sorry, someone is at the door. This is very annoying. She's gonna have to wait. So we actually came together with sorry, I'm gonna have to go and answer the door just because my son is outside. Sorry. Orion, answer the door. I'm building this while I have 2 children and everything else. So this is what it is like, the realism of work. Right, so yes, we created a fully circular denim that has detachable knee panels, so that it's created in a modular way when these knee panels wear out. So this longevity is baked into the design. It's fully naked. It doesn't have any chemicals and processes. It doesn't have any dyes at the moment. And what we're doing is then bringing the community in to say, you're going to be community buyers. We're only going to make one item or maybe a size set, and then you are going to be part of that journey as well. You're going to place a deposit down, and then we can buy the fabric and you become a part of the journey. So it's taking marketing into a community aspect, which is actually what's hyper trendy at the moment, right? So that's those. I work with a company also called Vin Footwear, who are a longevity footwear brand. They have a detachable heel so that they can keep this item going for as long as they possibly can, and a detachable inner part here. I've also worked with building a company called Rebel Patch and helping them. Again, something very simple that can be placed onto an item to give it longevity, but she collaborated with artists to showcase digital art onto that patch. So making something that's more craft-led or a little bit more seen as a little bit more of a crafty thing actually come into a much more of a trendy ideal. We're looking at decentralizing this as well, and then creating a decentralized brand that could be placed anywhere, right? She said, Luke, I don't want to grow centrally. I'd like to grow, but why not let other people take your brand and work with it in different places? And the processionary example here as well is that we built a collaborative team to be able to implement some of the relocalized fibers that we'd found in our incubator. These guys, Contemporary Hempery, were growing hemp in the UK, very new thing. And yeah, they needed to be able to actually prove an MVP on their fabric. So we said, well, actually, we could come together. We could actually link with a brand. They could be a brand sponsor. Some other people wanted to come in, find funding to be able to prove the regenerative nature of what they were growing. And Ronnie Khan, one of our other incubator members, runs something called Reroute Text in Bangladesh, and actually has a really amazing process that actually would work on the hemp as well to actually make it viable without any chemicals and softeners. So we built that together to create these processionary structures as we go along. In with Contemporary Hempery as well, for their first part, we look at other business model, other revenue streams that we can add to it. So instead of just being about the fabric, we created a hemp harvest retreat. So we actually got people to pay to go and be a part of the harvest and have like a retreat at the same time, right? So they came, had an amazing time at the farm, lived on the farm, did some camping, and learned how we actually strip the hemp ready for drying and processing. And it was a fantastic event and very educational at the same time. Reroute Text, as I said, I mentioned earlier on, I work with quite a lot of fiber people, but Ronnie is a really interesting one, and actually is the main fiber for Pinatex, but again has this amazing process that doesn't have any chemicals and softeners on it. We also go grassroots. So I don't know whether you can hear this, but it doesn't really matter. We look at collaborating on sponsoring events and being a part of events. This is the Sustainable Fashion Week, so we collaborated on a space there, placed all of our incubator members on catwalks, etc., and it was really great fun as well. So you can be a part of things from many different angles. So I'd like to bring that back to the audience now. We generally have to look at everything that we do in this world, how it connects, and we have to transform it all. And I want to invite you to think about what you might create. And thank you very much. I'm done. I don't know how I get out of here. Stop sharing screen.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rachel. It was a very inspirational talk, to be honest, especially, I don't know, I think for everyone. It was very clear what you do as an ecosystem architect. From the presentation, it was really nice to hear about the notion of collaboration being put in a totally different approach, and the notion of connectivity, relationality, sweat equity. I really want to go to this harvest retreat at some point.
They're doing another one, yeah, in
yeah, but
it's August. Whenever their harvest is coming up, then yeah, they'll be doing it. So I'll let you guys know. I'll send you the links. Yeah.
And I think it's very important for the brands that are joining it. The notion of collaboration is not a static kind of thing that, okay, let's collaborate, but it's kind of like understanding that, you know, it's not just the fabric, but also at the same time that, you know, collaboration can be a different totally structure of working, which is what you presented here, like a forest. So I think that's a very new approach for the Greek market. So with any further ado, I'm going to give the floor to a fellow anthropologist, very happy to see anthropologists working in the field that I found myself in the last year or so. So Tena Laveric, sorry if I mispronounced the surname Lavernsik. She's an ethical fashion activist and communication specialist, and she's going to talk about sustainability in the Balkan region. So Tena, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. If I sound a bit weird, it's because spring has sprung in Brussels where I'm based, and I love spring, but it doesn't necessarily love me. So I'm dealing with some seasonal allergies. So, you know, bear with me.
Yeah.
All right, let us do the same exercise as my fellow co-speakers, and let's see if I am able to share. I would really like to share. Sorry, I'm trying to share. Oh no. Okay. All right, let's try this again. All right. I'm trying to share my presentation, which is not necessarily.
You're co-host and presenter, so I just hope it works.
Yes. All right, let's try again. Oh, it keeps failing. I'm not sure why.
Okay, give me a second.
All right, I'm gonna allow this, and now you're gonna see my download, so ignore that. All right, I can't see what you see, so could you confirm to me that you're seeing the presentation and not just random files?
You can see your screen right now.
You can see your screen.
Okay.
We can see the copy of Global Sustainable Fashion Narrative. I don't know if that's the presentation.
That is what I'm trying to share, but okay.
Maybe you could share whole screen, or I don't know.
Okay, I'll try again. Oh, just a second. Yes, that's what I want. That is exactly what I want. Okay. All right, let's try this approach. All right.
Yes, we can see it. That's great.
Presentation. All right. All right. Well, I'm gonna try not to take too much of your time, and it's gonna be hard to top up some presentations that already happened, but let's talk a little bit about the Balkan perspective in sustainable fashion narrative. First, I feel like I should tell you a little bit about my background. That's better. That's me and my amazing Photoshop skills. I like to say that I'm an anthropologist who loves fashion, but not necessarily the industry. And because of that, I've been a fashion activist for about the last 8 or so years. And I'm also a communication specialist. And as such, I've been working with many small fashion brands and independent designers pretty much all over the world, but mostly in the EU. And for the past few months, I've also been one of the directors of Fashion Revolution Belgium. We are a Belgian branch of the biggest global movement for more sustainable and more just fashion industry. We actually started as a movement as a reaction to the Rana Plaza tragedy that Diana mentioned at the beginning of our meeting. So let's just say I spend a lot of time thinking about fashion. And through all of that, I've kind of realized that our idea of sustainable fashion and our general idea of sustainability is kind of West-centered. And let me try to explain that first. A lot of our talks about sustainability in fashion and wider tends to center around things like tech innovation, sustainable consumption, doing the best we can until we can do better. What I want to say is we often think about sustainability as this one single thing that we can reach if we just try hard enough. And I think a quote, kind of now a cliche quote that I'm sure most of you have heard of by Anne-Marie Bonnet, illustrates this very well. So the quote goes, "We don't need a handful of people doing zero waste perfectly. We need millions of people doing it imperfectly." Now replace zero waste with any sort of idea of sustainability like minimalism, veganism, etc., the quote would pretty much go the same. Now, nothing against zero waste, nothing against any of these other concepts that I mentioned. My problem here is that thinking like this implies that there is a perfect state that we can reach. There is a single state that we should all go towards. And again, if we just try hard enough, we can reach it. Now, I'd rather like to think that we rather need millions of people to embrace all sorts of practices and values that can help us navigate this social and environmental mess. Different practices and strategies are needed to live in peace with the climate, environment, and one another. Different practices and strategies at the same time. So there's no one path that we should take. There are many paths that spread through indigenous knowledge, local experience, all the new ideas. I feel that we need it all at the same time. What I want to say is that for me, sustainability isn't something to be or to reach, but a constant process of adapting to the current state according to what is currently available to us. Now, I can't speak for many experiences. I can't speak of all those possible ways, but I can speak from the Balkan perspective, because that is the region where I come from. Now, whenever I talk about the Balkans, people always kind of are confused, because for me, Balkan isn't necessarily a specific geographical region. I mean, yes, it is somewhere there in Southeast Europe. Sure, we can argue which countries belong to it or not, but I prefer to look at the Balkan from its cultural and political meaning. So Balkan is a sort of a cultural concept rather than geographical specific location. For me, Balkan is a liminal space, what we in anthropology like to call a liminal space. It is not here nor there. Balkan isn't quite Europe, right? But it's not Europe. It's not quite East Europe, but it's not West either. It is somewhere in between. And as a liminal space, it can bend rules, it can bend certain structures, and because of that, it can be also a source of a different way of thinking. But in sustainable fashion narrative, or a movement that I consider myself to be a part of, it is also a region that is very overlooked. What I mean by overlooked is the industry might be bigger and more important in that region than we usually think. For example, workers in countries like Bulgaria, Romania, and Ukraine, yes, I put Ukraine in the Balkan, make a significant garment workforce. Workers in countries like Serbia and Croatia produce for some of the most well-known and profitable brands like Hugo Boss or Versace. 90% of textile workers in Bosnia and Herzegovina produce for Western and European brands, and Albania's footwear and clothing industry is one of its main exports. As I said, the textile industry might be more important here than what we think. But also, when I say that this region is overlooked in sustainable fashion narrative or slow fashion movement, I want to say that facts like 80% of Croatian garment workers are earning below the poverty line. Romania is called Europe's cheap sweatshop. In Bulgaria, average wage of a garment worker covers just 21% of a living wage. On average, some factory workers that were interviewed in Serbia say they earn only 89% of what the company is supposed to be paying them. And even working overtime, Bosnian workers still earn below a minimum wage. And Albania is one of Europe's most rapidly growing economy, but it also has some of the worst labor conditions and highest poverty rates. What I want to say when I say that Balkan is overlooked in our movement is that these realities are overlooked. One of the ways I know this, or I like to argue this, is that all these numbers that I just mentioned, and I'm happy to share the presentation, by the way, if you're interested in my sources, most of these come from single source that is called Clean Clothes Campaign. You probably heard of this NGO, but this is almost the only internationally known organization that is doing research into textile industry in the Balkan from the workers' perspective. What I want to say is that international activists, researchers, and NGOs are not really looking into this region. And I always like to look back at the movement that I'm part of, and I love to see the growth of slow fashion movement. I love seeing some of our discussions going mainstream, but it is still dominated by the influences from countries like the UK and USA. Now, I'm not saying that this is good or bad, but we are missing more perspectives. And we are missing more perspectives. And what I want to say is that issues that we often talk about in sustainable fashion movements are the same. We from the Balkans do see them, do feel them, but our contexts are not. And I think that's important to add. And my point, I guess, is that we want to join and we want to contribute to the global sustainable fashion narrative. Now, I myself have worked with many brands from the region, and I still do, mostly in their communication and marketing. And I'd like to present just a little bit of what I've been doing with these brands, and just maybe point out how they talk about sustainable fashion, how they contribute to this narrative. And I cannot emphasize enough that all of these brands are usually avoiding the typical sustainable fashion talk. Now, these are just examples. There's no right or wrong way, but I'm hoping that it may inspire you. The brand that I've been working a lot with and that I love is called Laura Jean. Now, though they are based in London, they are founded by a Bulgarian woman who employs Bulgarian workers, garment workers. So they're pretty much, the Balkan. Now, what I find interesting about Laura Jean is that they focus a lot on stories behind the cloth. They're showing the talents and the hands that go into making their garments. They're showing a lot what company does for the workers. And the company is explicitly politically and socially active, and they're not hiding that. They pretty much never preach about sustainability, but they share their knowledge on what they know that they know the best. And that is the material, the clothes quality, design. And I really do suggest to follow them for some inspiration. Another brand that I really like is based in Belgrade, Serbia. They're called Marija Handmade. Now, Marija Handmade, they focused a lot on reaching the international support, mostly through participating in fashion weeks like Fashion Week in Milan, and through industry networking. They're focusing kind of similarly like Laura Jean, they're focusing a lot on the stories that our clothes tell about us and about the others. They're focusing a lot on how clothes make us feel and on the individual experience, which is for me very interesting. Again, there's no preaching. There's no talk about typical sustainability topic, which I find very interesting. Now, these are just two individual examples, but what I also find very, very interesting is that I see now a rise of slow fashion movement in the region, but bottoms up, and it is not only, but it is largely led by independent designers and brands. And I just find that really, really interesting. Now, there are many doing this. I cannot list them all, but I can list these 4 brands that I am working closely with and that I fully support. If anybody's interested, again, I'm happy to share this presentation so you can look them up because they are very interesting. They approach fashion in many different ways. Each of them approaches fashion differently. And what I find even more interesting is when they join forces, they organize very community-centric events to kind of talk about fashion. They organize several slow fashion evenings. I've been on some of them. They organize workshops, expositions, basically all of that in places where they know they will meet people. So they're using community spaces such as bars, libraries, shops. They're not trying to keep themselves away or isolated. They're trying to meet people where they are. And I just think it's just a story that is starting. So if you were looking for any conclusions, you're not going to find them yet, but I do suggest you follow people like this for some inspiration. And I'm always here to talk, would love to connect with you. You can find me as Thinking Threads pretty much anywhere online, and would love to continue discussions about Balkan fashion with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tena, for this presentation and for giving also the Balkan perspective. I think it's very important in sort of deconstructing this uniform approach to sustainability, which is pretty much Western-centered, as you said. So in terms of timekeeping, we are a little bit off. I don't want to be unfair to the rest of participants and pressure them to present in a fast pace. So I will ask you if you can dedicate 15 minutes more to 2 o'clock. So we say 2:15. So everyone has the time and space to present their ideas. I'm sorry about that, but to be honest, the presentations were very inspiring from the beginning till now. I hope you also find them. So I didn't want to stop them. That was me not being good at timekeeping, though. Thank you for, if you all agree and consent to this, so let's move on to an activist group based in Greece, which aims to raise awareness on the harms of fast fashion. We discussed a lot on marketing, and we discussed a lot in the importance of communication and raising awareness to consumers. And also Marilena, in the beginning, she presented the lack of awareness to consumers in Greece. So without no further ado, let's go to Stavroula, who is from the group Solidarity for Fashion, Athens-based, I think, but addresses the whole country, I assume. So Stavroula, the space is yours.
Hey, hello. I'm sharing the screen. Yes.
Yes. It should work. You are the host and presenter. Yeah.
I will do the whole screen because I'm not sure if the presentation will work the way.
Yes, we can see the presentation. Great.
Okay. Okay. So you are seeing the presentation. So I am Stavroula Begni. Thank you very much for the invitation. Personally and for the team, it is our honor to be here with you. As you mentioned, we are Solidarity for Fashion, activist volunteering team based in Athens. We are raising awareness on the harm of fast fashion. I entered the team 2 years ago. I just finished my studies in mechanical engineering, and when I entered the team, my goal was I was really interested in circular economy and sustainability throughout my studies. So when I came up to Solidarity for Fashion, we fell in love, and then I became the coordinator of the team for the last 1 year and a half of the team. So here today I will try to present you what we do, who we are, what is our team and what we are doing, our events, our social media campaign. So here we are. Our team consists this year of 18 people. We are all volunteers through ages 20 to 34. We are based in Athens. Our team was created in 2020 from Hellenic Youth Participation. It is an NGO that empowers local community with trainings and initiatives. So we were a European Solidarity Corps program for 1 year. We were funding to do local activities, events and social media campaigns to empower the local community about sustainable fashion, sustainable habits. Then we continue as a non-funded volunteer team till today. So each year new members come in, and this year we expanded our team. We doubled down our dynamic of people, and we are doing really interesting for me stuff, which I will present you now. This is photos from our meetings, both in like Hellenic Youth Participation or like houses and this stuff. Our main goal of the team is to have fun, to develop ourselves, and get involved in sustainable fashion and empower the local community. So one way we do that is through events. We do upcycling workshops. We do swap parties where people bring clothes and swap it. We do bazaars that we empower local and small sustainable businesses. Documentary nights, more community events like thrift challenges. Here are some photos from our swap parties. Here we did the upcycling workshop with tote bags, Christmas ornaments, and we are getting involved and have cooperations with schools. It is really important for us for a really small age to start and create this awareness that we speak now. We speak today about sustainable fashion. Here is an older workshop that we did with repurposed with leftover fabrics that we turned into dog toys. So generally, we try new initiatives and events, and we love the collaborations. We have done roundtable discussions, and we do our best to bring together as many factors of sustainable fashion and start creating habits, healthier habits from a really in a really daily basis. So the other part that help us a lot doing that is our online campaigns on social media. We are based online mostly on Instagram, and we are constantly, our team creates content for educating the community for basic terms and the vocabulary of sustainable fashion. We propose tips and everyday life-changing perspective habits that they can have in their clothing everyday life. And we try to promote sustainable businesses and what people in the local and global community do to come closer to a healthier lifestyle. Our team, as I mentioned, is volunteering. So our main culture is like to do new things, to try new initiatives. So we love this dynamic of exploring unknown waters, like for us, for our experience. And we are really happy to cooperate with you and create new initiatives like this here. It's really important for us networking, and we would be really happy to keep in contact and be in touch. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stavroula, for presenting the only, may I say, solidarity volunteer group, at least the only one I have come across. There might be another one, so. Yeah, and it's important also because the situation in Greece is very, very different from the rest of Europe. So obviously, we're not on the same level, but it's not an antagonism of who is doing it best. So it's important that you have formed this group and encourage some of the sustainability goals. And last, but certainly not least, we are going to move to Dimitris Grammatikoyannis, who is an eco-stylist and teacher at Acto School in the master program Arts in Fashion at Acto School. And he has worked as a fashion editor, stylist, eco-makeover for more than 25 years so far. So Dimitri, the floor is yours. I'll make you co-host and presenter so you can
Thank you so much, Diana, to be here. I feel really very emotional to hear all the previous speakers, especially Tena, with those she told us about the low wages, and unfortunately it happens here in Greece too, but we don't talk so much about these issues. I'm an eco-stylist, as Diana told, 25 years, though it's a little funny for the Greek fashion industry. I mean that it was not an issue for that era. And I will talk about the ethical campaigns. An ethical campaign has a mission to connect consumers with the brand stories, telling them how the product is made and where it comes from. The brand campaign is a narration that takes customer on brand's sustainability journey with ethical messages. Actually, I would like to change the term clients or customers with the term community, because our mission and vision is to build a community based on mutual values, principles, targets, and all together will play a part in positive change. Ethical branding should be made through environmental responsibility concepts, eco-policies, campaigns against female harassment. This behind me is from ethical load, and it has to do with sexual harassment against females. I will explain what it means later on. But for child abuse too and neglect, so that enhance a brand image, foster customer loyalty, build trust, recognize the brand's quality, and what always is complaining is the people about sustainability is the prices. When people understand what sustainability does, there is no problem with prices. And I will tell it that 78% of millennials say that they are willing to pay more for sustainable brands. Generation Z cares more about sustainable buying decisions than brand names. But ethical campaigns have to do only with sustainable issues? Definitely not. We live in an era that, excuse me, there is employment discrimination. We all know that a woman does not get the same salary as a man does. There are socially vulnerable population, health insurance, discrimination, and so many other issues like the war. Yes, if we consider what is the biggest polluters industry in the world, it's no surprise that the fossil fuel is the first one. The fashion industry is estimated to be the second one and follows energy, transportation, construction, manufacturing, agriculture, food retail, blah, blah, blah. But I don't find statistics about the war. I will come back to remind how some great ethical marketing examples, like the brand Allbird, with the title Fashion Pollutes the Planet. Patagonia in 2011, all of us, we love Patagonia because it was one of the first sustainable brands that taught us a lot, placed a provocative advertisement in the New York Times on Black Friday. They are telling people, don't buy this jacket. It was the time for the company to reveal the issue of consumerism. So the message to the consumer was clear enough. Think twice before you buy. It was a symbolic action which took place on Black Friday, which launches the retail holiday season. Another great ethical campaign comes from the shoes brand Tom's, and the title was One Day Without Shoes. And what does that mean? You didn't have to buy anything. Every person who Instagram a barefoot picture with the hashtag without shoes, Tom's gave a pair of new shoes to a child in need. Just participation. And now I would like to present some campaigns from Ethical Ode. I will try to share my screen. I'm not very good at this. This is from
We can see a presentation, Dimitris. Yeah.
we can see, eh?
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much for the information. This is from a graphic picture. It's called Not in My Backyard. It's a derogatory characterization of opposition by residents to a proposal for a new situation because it's very close to them. Example of projects likely to be opposed are homeless shelters, prisons, pumps, and other issues. This specific third made me imagine a photography in a backyard of a peaceful house, simulating the backyards of American dream houses with grass, pools, and barbecues. And behind all of this, what we see is the shadows of refugees. I will try to show you some more pictures. Excuse me, I'm so late, but I don't have the great ability to work with technology. I don't know what's going on.
Dimitris, if you wish, you can send me anything you want me to share.
Ah,
We can only see the previous photo, the one you talked about, but not the one.
perhaps I will stop sharing and I don't know why it stopped sharing.
Maybe you should stop
Okay.
sharing and reopen again the.
You are
share.
absolutely right, because
Yeah.
I think
If it's not on the same,
You're absolutely right. I found. This is one more.
yes, now we can see it, yeah.
This one is from another editorial, fashion editorial. It is called Anti-Apathy. Apathy is a Greek word. It means lack of interest, enthusiasm, or concern. It was a fashion editorial in front of a burnt forest. A boy and a girl were lying upon a deck chair as if they were going to swim, but everything around the furniture, the water pool, the forest itself, everything was burned. Let me show some more pictures. I'm trying, but I suppose it's not easy.
Normally it's the share button. So if you push share and then select one of either the entire screen
You're right. Yeah.
or the specific one that you've opened. And it's one of them.
Yes, you helped me. Yeah. Uh, I will present just one because this is from a brand, a Greek brand. It is called the Line Planet. It's a sustainable brand. It was with the title Evzin. It means prosperity in Greek. And after the period of COVID-19, I suppose we change values. What I mean, health is a value that we didn't face until now. At Ethical Load, we try to introduce this new designer because it brings on her clothes the Greek alphabet. And she works with loom, certified organic cotton, rayon, and very good raw materials. So the February 9 was the World Day of the Greek language, and we present this editorial. And if I have, Diana, you know, if I have more time to present one more picture.
Yes, yes, if you want one more,
Thank
yeah.
you so much. this is a fashion editorial. It's called Honor. It's a combination from a real picture from the photographer Panagiotis Simopoulos and some graphic tricks that we present. The Abbott Henderson Thayer is a nod to him, a nomad, because he is the American naturalist artist who made the concept of camouflage. Actually, they characterized him as the father of camouflage. He made camouflage in order to prove us that we are a part of the nature. But the army took the camouflage in order to kill each other. So it was a very different thing, as we know, camouflage. And we need to find out again the real thing. And this is Alison in Cosmopolis. Alison, the girl in front of the picture, is an educated female. She writes down her own history, and she doesn't follow the male rabbit. I will show you one more picture of this. She doesn't eat the lollipop, as you say, because we don't like the stereotypes in ethical load of female beauty. But we want the females to be united because I strongly believe that women will change the world because they don't go to join army, though there are a lot of voices who try right now to make the opposite, but I'm still against it. And this is from an ethical law fashion show, and this cloth made by me because I wanted to. It was about 20 years ago when the twins terrorist attack took place, and I made this cloth for reminding this sad event that took place on 9/11. Thank you so much to be here, Diana, again.
Thank you very much, Dimitris, and for the lovely pictures you shared, and also like trying to present the links between fashion styling and ethics and sustainability. I think we have like some 10 or 15 minutes left. If there are any questions, but also like if the presenters between each other want to raise a question, have any comment, any note you took or something that drew your attention you would like to comment or ask or anything really, or also the people that are listening to us, you're free to share a thought here or ask something. Just raise your hand, or if you don't find the button, just take the floor. Mrs. Corita, have you raised your hand? Or am I saying wrong? Well, yes. Aliki Gorita? Maybe the hand was left there. No. Okay. To be honest, I found many in
There
the
is,
yeah, Marilena, yes.
there is, no, there is, I can't, I think you want to speak, there is the microphone.
We can't hear you.
Marilena, we can't hear you. The voice is breaking. It's totally, we didn't hear anything. You can try again.
Now we better.
Perhaps Marilena is they had no.
Ah, okay. It's trying to unmute you. It's very Marilena, I don't know why we can't hear you. Mrs. Gorita, I don't know. You have to unmute. I can't unmute you. Or I can unmute all. Okay, yes. Maybe you can try now to unmute.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I have a question. First of all, thank you very much all for your inspiring presentations and your work. I'm just wondering, it's not a question to answer directly now or to one. It is for all of us. What we could do to involve more in these sustainable practices, services, products. And I mean not the people like us that we are involved in a way in this theme that we are discussing today, but everyday people that they have a lot of things to do, they have a lot of information, a lot of no-name comments to deal with, a lot of pictures, a lot of things to do, and how we could make for them easier to find brands, not only in fashion, in health, in food, in everything in our life, to find out the truth, who is saying the truth and no. Like going to buy something and you want easy to find the truth in a product, in a service, in the story of the product, because as everybody knows, there is this greenwashing, not only from big brands, as Marilena told in the beginning. There are also smallest brands that doing greenwashing, and this is very bad also for companies that trying to do with the hard and honest way. This is my question, because we need more people in this to have a big change, not just people like us that are involved only. Thank you.
I could answer. Hi, Avaritza. You can upload an application is called QUGiUkD7. It gives great information about the brands you really want to discover if it says the truth or it's lying. And at the same time, you can get information about what new comes to reality. So you are really informed. And it says about fair wages, it says about greenwashing. And I suppose that Fashion Revolution gets ready something like this. But good on you, it is already works.
Hey, thank you, Dimitris.
Okay, thank you. I'll check it.
Anyone else wants to
I can say there's also
Yeah.
Ethical Consumer magazine. They do quite a comprehensive write-up of all manner of things, not just fashion. Quite interesting. I will say that there's a level of untruth throughout much of the supply chain as well. So this is not just a level of brands, it is going down into fiber, processing, etc., etc. Generally because of the business as usual situation. I do think that EPR and that digital passports will come a long way. It again might be subject to some of that manual inputting, but yeah, I think it'll be something that will help see the transparency. Yeah, hopefully that answers a little bit extra as well.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you. Do you see, sorry, do you see examples of this passport there in US maybe? Because here in Greece, I believe it delays a little bit more. But
Yeah,
do you see there that is that people are active and are using this kind of?
no, it's very in its infancy. I'd say I'm in the UK, so not US. But they're basically a lot of companies starting up in this space in the tech area. Some of them are attached to blockchain, some of them are not. We've trialed one with our collaborator Vestis Labs, who has created their own digital passport and put it onto our supply chain in Sanja Stories. But we know that supply chain very deeply, so it's we know what we're saying is true. Yeah, so there are many companies out there. There's another one called Retraced that we rate as well, that are out in the EU, that we're going to be working with as we go along. So I think it's just a matter of time and getting the implementation right with that.
Well, thank you, Rachel. Marilena, you have a.
I just was going to comment that there's the Sustainable Apparel Coalition in the US. So that's an organization that a lot of brands work together. I haven't kept up with them, to be honest with you, to see what they're doing, but they were always very focused on how to be more sustainable, and traceability was a big item of their focus. So if anybody's familiar with Sustainable Apparel Coalition.
Okay. Okay. Marilena?
Yes, I hope that you can hear me now.
Yes, much better.
Perfect. Yes. And I would also like to say from the brand side, like insist on storytelling, on sharing the transparency of the production phase, of the handmade elements. So I think the audience, the consumer, they can identify difference among a real sustainable brand, but we need to insist and be consistent in the storytelling. I think this will also empower and educate sustainable.
Yes, thank you, Marilena. And I think also like the sincerity part of the storytelling is important, because even if you are not sustainable in some part of the economic chain, I think it's okay to say so, you know? So I think the consumer will definitely, accept your sincerity and honesty that, I'm sustainable to this, but not to that, and I still have steps to go. Sorry, Rachel.
Yeah, and sometimes the brands don't always have got into a certain part of it already, and then come to me later to check the supply depth, and then we find stuff that isn't necessarily sustainable. So we're always about like sharing that we should be fully honest and transparent, but sometimes you can't be fully, if you haven't got the depth of knowledge, you can't be fully honest and transparent on what you don't know, so
yeah Yeah, but I think also to the extent that you do know some things, because it's sustainability is so much a thing of, like Tena said, you have to be 100% sustainable or else you can't go because, you might be accused of greenwashing, etc. So there is this fear, I think, from Greek-based brands, some of them, that are sustainable to some extent, but not fully, and not to go into the sustainable market at all, or kind of like withdraw. So I think it's important to sort of present sustainability as a process, that you always learn part of the system that you're not fully sustainable, for example, and you don't know it yet. So, you have to be open to the unknown aspects, but also, approach sustainability as a process and not as a clear, unitary goal. That's it, and stays there statically. Yeah, sorry. It's a, if there is no further question or point, I will definitely share this recording. If you consent and if you agree, we will upload it at the YouTube channel of EcoFashion, so everyone can watch it later. I will send you all, if you agree, the emails, your contact info. So if you want to stay in touch with each other, at least the participants for sure, I will send you all the contact information with each other. Also, if you wish for me to share the presentations to the people who attended, please, send me a link with your presentation so I can download it and then, post it on the website, or share it also with members of the EcoFashion community here and the program. What else? And I can send you also some screenshots that we did of the event, if you all agree to. I think that's it from the practical side. Is there any concern to anything that I've said? Okay. So I would definitely want to thank everyone for coming warmly. All the people from Greece, Marlena Stathopoulou. I would like to thank also, Stefan Klabaneva, Dimitris Grammatikogiannis, Stavroula from Solidarity for Fashion. A very warm thank you to Rachel and to Tena that made it today and found the time to share their knowledge and their expertise and their inspirational work to Greek brands here and to the EcoFashion community here. I think it's important that we sort of maintain these points of contact, even though we are all in different levels with the work that we do. It's still important to acknowledge the importance of this work in a particular setting. So thank you very, very much. And I wish you all have a happy weekend. And hopefully we will meet again at some other point, at some other event. And stay in touch for eco-fashion and sustainability and this work towards sustainability.
Thank you very much for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice
Bye.
weekend
Thank
to
you,
all of you.
everyone. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Weekend. Bye.
Okay. Ora impactava que eu estou com o vídeo. Okay.